Hey gang, and welcome back. Just a reminder, you can now use the promo code MTGMudsta, all caps, at flipsidegaming.com. You'll get 10% off orders over $10 and help with the channel at the same time. Please note that despite our sweet playmat, this video is not sponsored by Disney. This week, I'm playing Ken's Sidisi Brood Tyrant, and I keep a hand with Island, Jungle Hollow, Kadama's Reach, Perpetual Timepiece, Overseer of the Damned, the Gitrog Monster, and Commander's Sphere. Sean is playing his Kynaios and Tiro deck, and he keeps a hand with Island, Mountain, Arid Mesa, Izzet Signet, Hangerback Walker, Collective Voyage, and Hesperia Supreme Justice. Ken is playing his Wort the Raid Mother deck, and keeps a hand with 3 Mountains, Carplusian Forest, Mana Crypt, Relic Crush, and Mana Geyser. Lastly, Matt is playing his Gisa and Geralf deck, and he keeps a hand with Cemetery Reaper, Lich Lord of Unks, Dread Summons, Nantuko Husk, Island, Swamp, and Warped Landscape. Sean wins the die roll and starts us off. Sean plays and cracks Sculling Tarn for his first land, and finds a tropical island. Matt plays a swamp and passes to Ken. Ken plays a mountain and passes to me. I play Jungle Hollows, gaining 1 life, and pass back to Sean. Sean plays a mountain and gets things rolling, casting Collective Voyage and putting 1 mana into the spell. Matt and Ken also decide to get in on this action, and we all get to go find 3 basics and put them onto the field tapped. With nothing else, he passes to Matt. Matt gets to live the dream of every Commander player by turn 2ing their commander, but his self-mill as a result of Gisa and Geralf entering the battlefield is less than stellar, hitting mostly lands and no zombies. Ken plays a forest for his turn and casts Mana Crypt. Ken then also gets to cast his general in turn 2, and Wort the Raid Mother plus 2 of her cronies hit the field. For my turn, I play an island and then cast Commander's Sphere. Since ramp is the name of this game, I then cast Kadama's Reach, putting a swamp on the field and a forest in my hand. For Sean's turn, he plays another fetch land in the form of Arid Mesa and cracks a Defined Plateau. He then casts Hesperia Supreme Judge and passes to Matt. Matt plays a swamp and casts Lich Lord of Unks, then plays Talisman of Dominance. With nothing else, he passes to Ken. On Ken's upkeep, he safely rolls to avoid damage from Mana Crypt. Ken then moves to his main phase and plays Carplusian Forest, then casts Ranger's Path. He uses Conspire to copy it thanks to his 2 tokens. He finds Sheltered Thicket, Cinderglade, Taiga, and Stomping Ground. With nothing else, he passes to me. For my turn, I play Westvale Abbey, then cast the Gitrog Monster. Holding up a card, I then make a deal with Matt, telling him I'll help him out, but if it comes down to it, he has to kill me last. Matt agrees, and I cast Mesmeric Orb. With nothing else, I pass to Sean. On Sean's untap step, he has to mill 6 cards thanks to the Mesmeric Orb. Don wants to show off his sweet forearm, and Sean moves to cast Aura Shards. This does not bode well for the Mesmeric Orb, and Sean moves to cast Hangerback Walker for 2. This enters the battlefield and triggers Aura Shards. Sean chooses to put the trigger on Mesmeric Orb and blows it up. Moving to combat, Sean swings Hesperia at me for 6. For Matt's turn, during his first main phase, he plays Mage Ring Network, and then casts Army of the Damned. No one has a counterspell, and Matt gets 13 2/2 zombies and puts the game into a real perspective. Threatening an enormous amount of damage, Matt passes to Ken. Ken once again manages to avoid damage from Mana Crypt, and during his first main phase, he plays a mountain. Ken then thinks long and hard about his next move, and opting that keeping mana open is his best play, he passes turn. For my turn, on my upkeep, the Gitrog Monster triggers, and I sacrifice Jungle Hollows to draw a card. I then draw a card for my turn, and in my first main phase, I play Ancient Tomb and a Forest. I then cast Perpetual Timepiece, a card I didn't even know existed, and play Sidisi Brood Tyrant. I then channel the luck of Matt, and manage to hit no creatures in the cards that I mill. With nothing else, I pass to Sean. For Sean's turn, he casts Izzet Signet in his first main phase, and follows up by casting Skull Clamp. He then casts Panharmonicon, an incredible card for EDH, and passes to Matt. Matt starts his turn off right, and in his first main phase he casts Dimir Signet. Matt then follows up by casting Undead Warchief to really push the zombie tokens over the top. This gives him close to 52 power from just tokens alone. Unfortunately, because 4/3s just aren't good enough for our Matt, he then goes deeper by casting Cemetery Reaper, pumping them up by a further +1/+1. At this point, Matt's in a bit of a dilemma. He can outright kill 1 person, but leave himself open to the inevitable retaliation of the remaining 2. Or, he can spread the love and hopefully live long enough to finish us all off with something like Grey Merchant. Matt decides to go for the latter, swinging 6 at me and 6 at Sean. The 6 going at Sean trigger Hesperia, and Sean gets to draw 6 cards. I in turn tap the Timepiece, milling 2 and finally hitting a creature. This gives me a zombie token. Sean blocks 2 of the zombies with Hangerback Walker and Hesperia, and taps the Hangerback Walker to put a +1/+1 counter on it. I in turn block 3 tokens. This results in Sean taking 20, and I take 15 damage from the swing. With Hangerback Walker dying, Sean gets 3 Thopter tokens, and this triggers Aura Shards 6 times thanks to Panharmonicon. Sean targets all the artifacts on my and Matt's sides of the table, revealing that he really doesn't like zombies. With the triggers on the stack, I respond by sacrificing my Commander's Sphere to draw a card. With nothing else, the triggers respond, blowing up all of our artifacts. In Matt's second main phase, he has nothing to do and passes turn. On Ken's upkeep, he once again narrowly avoids taking damage from Mana Crypt, and moving to his main phase, he plays a mountain and then passes turn. On my upkeep, I sacrifice Westvale Abbey and draw from the Gitrog monster. I then draw for turn, and moving to my main phase, I play Drownyard Temple and a Swamp for my turn before casting Overseer of the Damned. Unfortunately, I don't control a Panharmonicon, so when it enters the battlefield, I only get one trigger, and I target Matt's Undead Warchief. This destroys it, and I get a 2/2 zombie token. With nothing else to do on my turn, I pass to Sean. For Sean's turn, he plays a Forest, and being very uncomfortable with the amount of zombie tokens, casts Wrath of God, which I think is kind of fitting. Ken moves to respond, but decides against his play, and the board wipe resolves. Sean's follow-up is to stave off any revenge from Matt, and he casts Sphere of Safety before passing turn. Matt unfortunately has no land drop for his turn, so he taps out for Dread Summons where X is 5. We all mill for 5, and Matt gets 7 zombie tokens for 7 mana, which isn't too bad. Passing his turn, the table once again finds itself staring down a zombie token army. Ken finally takes a hit from Mana Crypt and loses 3 life on his upkeep. He then plays Raging Ravine in his first main phase, and recasts Wort before passing turn. For my turn, Gaia Reach Sanitarium is the land I play, and afterwards I cast Sphinx of Athun, also known as Factor Fiction Sphinx. I give the pile to Matt, reminding him that I did try and help him, so not to give me a bad pile. Unfortunately, the cards I flip are mostly lands, so Matt gives me a pile consisting of 4 lands and Elixir of Immortality by itself. I choose the Elixir for reasons which are about to become very obvious, and put the lands in the bin. I cast Splendid Reclamation to bring back 11 lands, one of which is Jungle Hollows, which nets me a life. This is what we in the business call pure value. For Sean's turn, he casts Kynaios and Tiro during his first main phase before casting Tamio's Journal. He doesn't have a combat step or anything else to do, so he moves to his end step. This causes Kynaios and Tiro to trigger, and Sean gets to draw a card from the first part. Moving to the second part of the trigger, all of Sean's opponents choose to draw a card. For Matt's turn, he plays an island and then casts Grave Pact. Because one good thing deserves another, Matt follows up by casting Nantuko Hust, the perfect sack outlet for his zombie tokens and Grave Pact. Moving to combat, he swings 6 of his zombies at me, and I chump one of them with the Sphinx, taking 10. In his second main phase, Matt sacrifices one of the tapped zombies, forcing the table to sacrifice a creature. As a result of this, I lose my Sphinx, Sean loses his kings, and Ken lets a token die. With nothing else, Matt passes to Ken. Ken once again magically avoids damage from Mana Crypt, and during his first main phase, he casts Sensei's Divining Top, activating it to look at the top 3 cards. He then taps the top to put 1 on top, which is a lot of top, and draws a card. Ken then casts that card, which happens to be Gamble, and conspires it. We resolve the first copy, and Ken discards a Forest. Ken then resolves the original spell, and discards Relic Crush. Ken then casts Mana Geyser, gaining 36 red mana, which is absurd. Using some of his mana, Ken casts Eternal Witness to return Relic Crush to his hand, and casts the spell to blow up Sphere of Safety and Grave Pact. Matt responds to the target by sacrificing 3 of his creatures and forces Ken to kill the rest of his board. Ken then casts Tooth and Nail Entwine to find Green Warden of Marasa and Perforos. With the Green Warden and Perforos coming into play at the same time, the table takes 2. Ken then uses Green Warden of Marasa to bring back Tooth and Nail Entwine to his hand, and he recasts the Entwine spell. This time he finds Zealous Conscript and Kiki Jiki, which allows him to finish out the game by creating an infinite amount of tokens and killing the board with Perforos. Game review time. It's pretty unfortunate that I didn't get to do very much with Ken's Sidisi deck, as I didn't really draw any kind of interactive cards, and even when I cast Sidisi, she didn't do very much. Ken does assure me that the deck plays differently, but unfortunately I don't seem to have really good luck with Sultai commanders. Sean's Kynaios and Tiro deck is a lot of fun, and he runs a lot of gods in it, so it's a very enchantment-heavy deck. It is his fault that things did get a little out of hand so early on thanks to Collective Voyage, but I mean that's the risk you run when you play a card like Collective Voyage. In the long run, he was fine though since he got to pillow fort up, but it left me really out in the open. Matt's Gisa and Geralf deck was aggressive, and had he had at least one counter in his hand, I think this game would have gone super differently. It was pretty incredible to see the amount of power they had on the board, and being able to have that many lords and being able to recur them so easily with his commander is a fantastic deck. I really feel that Gisa and Geralf and the Scarab God are probably the 2 best Dimir zombie commanders. Wort. She's kind of aptly named since she's a pain in the butt, hard to get rid of, and kinda gross. I'm sure as people were watching this, they realized that Ken was pretty much saving up all of his resources and about to explode, but at the time it was really hard to justify using any resources against him since Matt was swinging for so much turn after turn. It was a lot of fun to see Wort go off, and I'm always a fan of seeing new commanders do their thing, and being able to cast Mana Geyser for 36 mana was pretty great. Sure, going for the Zealous Conscript / Kiki Jiki combo is nothing I haven't seen before, but it happens from time to time and I really don't have any problems with it. Please be sure to tune in every Monday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video, with a second video popping up sometime during the week. You can also follow me on Twitter at MTGMudsta, or check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/MTGMudsta. This video is brought to you in part by support from my Patreons. If you're looking for a way to help out the channel, please be sure to visit the link below or in the About section. As always, thank you guys for watching, and please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.